The name's Kumadoh, Enos Kumadoh. And I love to play football. Now I play as a striker for my team Thorny. Now scoring goals is my thing. I ended up scoring 44 goals in 15 appearances. This includes the 6 goals against Parkside, the hat-trick I got on my birthday against Boston, also the hat-trick I got in the semi-final of the BSF Cup. Yeah, we won that game, made it to the final, never played the final. You could probably guess why. But yeah, the list of my goals goes on and on. My name is all over Peterborough, the city where I was born, the city where I play my football, the city where I've grown up. You get the idea. Now those stats are pretty impressive if you ask me, 44 and 15. They are so impressive I ended up getting a trial with Peterborough United. Let me explain. Football's been a big part of my life and I started playing it when I was 9 years old. Played for my local club Parkside Athletic at the age of 9. But it wasn't too bad. I played as a defender in my first few seasons, then moved into like an attacking player. Wasn't too bad. Got injured at one stage, missed a full year of football. Came back. But then, me being me, wanting to have something bigger, something better, if you know what I'm saying, decided to leave, and that's why I joined Thorny. I joined Thorny in 2018. I was about 11, 12 at the time, and I joined them for several reasons. They're a Division 1, they're a big club, they're better, they're stronger, yada yada yada, you get the idea. So my first season, I played 18 matches, scored 10 goals, scored an additional like 5 in a few friendly matches we played. So we ended up finishing 7th. I ended up scoring 2 hat-tricks against the same team. They weren't really strong. They ended up winning only 1 game. And they ended up going down 2 divisions, not even 1 division, because they were that bad. Like, do you know how bad you have to be for that to happen? Now during the 2018-19 season, like my first season at Thorny, I was also in secondary school as well, so it was like my first year, year 7. I was also doing school team as well. And whilst I was playing school matches, I was actually banging in the goals. I ended up scoring like 15 goals in however many appearances that I played in. And my school actually made it to a cup final. I scored a hat-trick. We beat our rivals 4-1. And then, like, yeah, it was pretty good. So, I mean, I was scoring a lot of goals with the school team, but like with Thorny, it was kind of, I'd say like I was struggling. Some games I'd score a goal, 2 goals maybe. Then like the week after I wouldn't score a goal, stay on the bench, things like that. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. We had this player on our team and he was boss mate. Midfielder, he had everything. Okay, well, other than a weak foot. But he had everything. And he was scoring more goals than like the whole attackers. Like, yeah, I scored 10 goals, yeah, that's good and all. But he scored 26 goals in like 18 or 19 matches. And I mean, being a midfielder, yeah, it's good, but you'd expect the strikers to score the goals and things like that. Towards the end of the season, he said he was going to leave the club, and my manager was like, yeah, see, basically that's not going to work for us because he's been carrying the team all this time. So he's like, yeah, right lads, we're going down to Div 2. So hearing the news, I wasn't like, yeah, it's fine really, innit? See, at the time, I was also doing like, I decided to go for an open trial. Let me explain. So just a normal summer's day, getting towards the end of the school year, I'm like, yeah, I think I can become an academy footballer, you know. I think I'm good enough for an academy. Yeah, I'm just chatting, aren't I? So I decided to hop onto the internet, see if Peterborough United were doing any open trials because, you know, I live in Peterborough. I was born in Peterborough, grown up in Peterborough my whole life. There was one available, signed up for it, went for it. And to be honest, I was kind of surprised. Like, I didn't know what to expect at first. And when I was there, we just did mini matches. Wasn't too bad. I didn't think I played too bad. I mean, I could have done better. So the coaches told us at the end of the session, you get an email from the 3 following options. The development squad. So that would be like you train once a week, and for the players who were alright, I guess you could say. And after that, you have the shadow squad. The shadow squad was better than the development. These players were good players, decent. And after that, you'd be given another chance with the academy. This was higher than the shadow squad, obviously, and this is for the players who showed potential to actually become an academy player. Now, after hearing those words from the coach, I'm like, okay, just have to wait and see. So a few weeks passed and got the email saying that I made it to the development squad. Now, because at the time I didn't realise that the development squad is like at the bottom, like my parents and family were still happy for me. I was happy, but didn't know that I was like the bottom. So the following season I'd be doing the development squad and training, playing matches. But little did I know the following season was going to be the season that was like, turned into prime Ronaldo. Now the 1920 season had just started, and our first game was against Parkside. Now the Parkside that I used to play for, I mean if it was that Parkside, then we would have won that game. It was against a different Parkside. Parkside played against quite a few times. So we ended up losing that game 4-3, but despite losing, I was still able to score 2 goals. I mean, I could have had a hat-trick if I hadn't missed that opening goal somehow, but we don't talk about that here. I scored 2 goals and I was off, just scoring week in, week out. Following game, I scored a hat-trick, and I ended up scoring a hat-trick on my birthday, so I'm pretty sure that was the game afterwards. I ended up scoring a hat-trick. It was a pretty good birthday for me that day, and I was just scoring goals week in, week out. It's like I was playing beginner mode on FIFA, just a hat-trick every game. I was scoring 3 goals, 4 goals pretty much all the time, and it was pretty easy for me just scoring goals. I mean, even if we lost the game, I'd pretty much score. In every game that I played in, other than one game, I scored in like all of them. Like, that's pretty good. My name was in the Peterborough Telegraph, you know, drawing attention, scoring goals, just being on the score sheet literally every week. It was fun. Fans always had faith in me. I was scoring for the team and just carrying the team, becoming a hero. Now on a Sunday I was playing, scoring goals for fun. On Thursdays I'll also be training with the Peterborough United development squad. And I was finding that easy, considering the fact that I was scoring, and just playing on a Sunday was easy for me. And the coaches saw improvement, they saw potential in me. And by February, when I had like a good amount of goals, they offered me a 2-week trial for the shadow squad. Now I was buzzing after hearing the news, because it's one step up the ladder and getting closer to the academy. So I took the 2-week trial and I got in, and now I was within, I wouldn't say like touching distance, but I was getting nearer to getting the chance of being with the academy. So in February, there was a lot of things going on with Posh, like for me. So I had like a friendly game again with the shadow squad against Needham Market. I scored a goal, ended up doing this to a defender. We lost the game 5-4, 5-3 or something like that. But it was a good experience. Like, we played 80 minutes. I played, like we did it in quarters. I played three quarters of the game. It wasn't too bad. I enjoyed it. We also played against the under-12s academy. And like, going into this game, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the academy. It should be easy. Yeah, never underestimate your opponents, people. Because we lost the game 6-4, 7-4. I scored 2 goals, 2 in quick succession. And the coaches saw that I played well, and like the following day as well, I got an email saying, I think the week after or something like that, that they wanted me to play with the academy, like play a match against this private London academy team. So it turned up and I actually scored 2 goals again, and soon after that they offered me an 8-week trial with Peterborough United. Getting the email after my dad telling me, I was ecstatic, like buzzing. Like, just scoring the goals, getting noticed, and like finally it was starting to pay off and things like that. So having an 8-week trial was perfect for me. It was around February and the trial started, and I was only started like a week of the trial, but then COVID came and screwed up everything. My trial was called off until further notice, and as was my season. The last game that I actually played was in March, and it was March the 8th on a Sunday, of course. It was the semi-final of the BFS Cup, and we ended up winning 3-2 thanks to my last minute goal. I got a hat-trick obviously, and took us to a final that we were meant to play against Stanford, but it never was played because of COVID. Just messed up everything. Now because of COVID, everyone was put into a lockdown, so no football and things like that. So I decided to use the time wisely and like, train pretty much every single day during lockdown. And I was working on my shooting, working on my free kicks, working on my weak foot, just working on everything, so when the trial was like ready, then I feel I'd be ready and not rusty or anything. September came, and I'd heard the news that the trial was going to be reopened, and it was for 6 weeks, even though I only did 1 week. Really, it should have been 7. So the first week was training with them. It wasn't too bad. It was kind of different. The work ethic there is like really high because they're academy players. After the first week, I was told that I would be playing in a friendly against Lincoln, and it was an away game, so 2-hour drive to Lincoln. I actually scored in that game. We ended up winning 9-2. I mean, I didn't play too bad. I only played like the second half, but I didn't really do much. Just getting a few touches on the ball. Could have really done better, but if I played like 3/4 or something of the game, then yeah. Now the day before the game against Lincoln as well, my team actually had like a friendly game because like the season hadn't started yet, but it was like a week before the season started, so it's like friendly matches just to get the rust off and everything. After the game, they were doing a presentation. I didn't play the game because I had the Posh game the next day, didn't want to get any injuries or anything. So they had the presentation. I came because it's a presentation, I had to come. And I ended up picking 2 trophies. I ended up getting this trophy, don't know if you can see it well. I ended up getting Parents Player. I ended up getting Players Player. So I ended up taking away pretty much 3 trophies. The 3rd trophy is like the normal trophy everyone gets, but I ended up taking away 2 individual ones. Last season I was a baller really, innit? So I ended up taking away 3 trophies and presentation, which is pretty good. For the next 5 weeks I was still training with Posh, but didn't really get to play any of the matches after that. Like I was consistently asking the coach if like I'd be playing. He'd be like, oh yeah, sure, you get an email, but never got that email. So because like we were back in Division 1, because we won Division 2, partly thanks to me. But we won Division 2, so we're back in Division 1. Like Division 1 is basically like the Premier League, but like for us. So we were back in Division 1, and because it was going to be a struggle for us, because we're like one of those teams. We're sort of like a Crystal Palace, if you want to put it that way. We're not that strong. My manager was like, if I'm not playing for Posh, then I should play for Thornley, and that's pretty much what I was doing. So our first game of the season was against Neen Valley, and they also came up from Division 2. They beat us 7-4 at home and got a hat-trick. Later the season though, they ended up folding. I don't know why. So, because we're not a strong team, we did lose. It took us like 4 or 5 matches before we actually got a win. So for the next 5 weeks I was playing matches while I was training with Posh. It took us took us a few games before we actually got our first win of the season against Netherton. Scored 2 goals, scored a 30-yarder, and I scored a free kick. So I scored 2 goals, and that was like our last game, last league game that we played before it was called off due to another lockdown, COVID ruining things. It took a while before we actually were able to play matches again, and when we were able to play matches again, like the FA had decided to introduce like a tournament sort of thing, 3 groups, and then like I think it was top 2, top 3 teams that'll go through and then they'll play each other in a knockout stage. Basically like a normal knockout tournament. So we've been playing that currently. I've been scoring a few goals. Scored 2 against Refley, scored a hat-trick against Parkside. So I was in my last week of training with Posh, and I was like on a Monday or something, and I got an email when I was home saying that I didn't get in. Hearing the news, I was kind of like, okay, I see how it is. I was kind of sad, like mixed emotions. The reason why I didn't get in was for a few reasons: possession of the ball, my finishing, and just decision making. I got told by the coaches like on Wednesday, which was my last day, and like hearing those news, I was like, okay, need to work on that. I was a bit sad that I didn't get in, but it's a setback. So hopefully, if I keep on working, then I can get another chance, because it's pretty fun. Right guys, I'm going to end the video here. If you like this video, please make sure to like and comment. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.